All right. Good morning, Benton Harbor. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is August 22nd, 2022. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Uh, we are on today, Monday, back. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I was off last week, taking care of some business for my son, and it's been a blessed week, good week. We are on today with Mr. Dillon Barnes. Some may know him as Boone. If you go back to the old school, Mr. Barnes is Dylan Barnes, lifetime resident, born and raised in the city, lives over on what name of the street? Not Parker. Got the house that has
Hastings.
expanded through the years, Hastings, and he's over JumpStart Incorporated, which is a youth development entity, and we're going to talk about that. So um, we are talking today with him. We're talking about training our youth and mentorship and some things that he's been doing actually for a couple of decades now. So we want to get into that. Again, thank you all, those listening or those who will come on and those who will replay this. So we get about 1,000 views a week. So again, we're good to be here with myself. I'm sorry, I'm Director Dan McGinnis, Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety. I think they know who I am right now at this point. But again, we're here. So, Brother Dillon, we have been friends, also fraternity brothers for many years. Um, you have. Let's just start back at your background. Kind of maybe high school. I know you came up through Ben Harbor, went down to college, came back. Just kind of give us a little bit about your background and what kind of led you into. You are a humongous advocate and a mentor for children for many years. I think we lost you for a second. Yeah, for many years. So talk about yourself. Talk about how you've come to where you are today, as far as starting your organization. It's been going for 26 years, and your dedication to this community. You got the Blair Witch Project going on. Can you hear us? We're not hearing you. Like there's a little delay. I think he's having some technical difficulties. Those fancy iPads. That's why I like Android. So while he's doing that, hopefully he can fix whatever's going on there. So just from my part, I'm going to kind of talk about like how we connected this time. Again, we've always been friends, and we're in the same fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. And here on Chat with the Chief, we talk about things that concern the city. We know we've been talking about, and we know we've had the issue of youth violence. I remember last week we had on Steve Prangley, the prosecutor of Berrien County, um, and we talked about trying to get a message to the youth, kind of picking a cohort and trying to get a message of nonviolence to our young people, as well as some other just basic life skills, mentorship growing up. We have a lot of single parent families in Benton Harbor. Um, we got a lot of moms and dads raising kids by themselves that just need some support. Maybe they need some other males or female role models that help to supplement their raising their children. Maybe you might want to try logging off and logging back on. Maybe restart your device because you don't have any sound. So anyway, so we've been talking about that. Again, we had prosecutor Steve Prangley on, who kind of feels the same way, and that made me, not that show, but over the last several weeks, I have been trying to look at how I myself can get in and help to mentor our youth. And For those who know, I've been a coach for many, many years. I'm a football coach. I've been an official, basketball official, football official, coach track, and I thought, what is the best way? It was almost like an epiphany. The way that I work with kids and mentor has been through coaching. So as I get up to my loop, you got the Blair Witch Project going on. I'm gonna have to you kind of moving around. So I'm gonna have you go off, log off, and then come back on. So yeah, I get dizzy easy with that. That's why I can't watch those movies with that. Um, so anyway, so I was thinking, we said before, this issue with violence in the community, we cannot arrest our way out of this. And I think most people agree it's not a matter of throwing more police at the issue. What it is we need a grassroots solution that gets into the fabric of the issue. The thing we're seeing with our youth, how many of them maybe didn't have good training coming up? Maybe they didn't have a father or mother in the home. Maybe they're missing something. And how do we get to that group and try to get them steered in a quality direction early? And I've kind of been pondering that thing because, again, for me in my role, yes, I'm the director of public safety, the chief of police, if you will. But the solution to the problem in Benton Harbor, again, is not throwing police at the issue. It's not throwing arrests out there. It's not writing a ton of tickets and raising fines. Albeit that does have a portion or a place, but ultimately what we need is what I believe in is that people need to take ownership of our community. We have people out there that are doing good things, but they might be in silos to come together. But we have to kind of start to work with our youth at a much younger age group. And that old saying that it takes a village to raise a child, I totally agree with. And I think that because here in the recent years, the last decade or so, we've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from more of a community um, feeling of in our community, more into our own individual kind of silos, our own individual kind of little pockets of life, and we stop to worry about everything else outside of what we can control. Well, in that we've seen our kids, kind of go out. I remember back in the day where you mess around and get in trouble with the neighbor, and she walk you down to your parent, and your parent will let you have it. She thanked the neighbor, and off we go, and that's how it was. These days, you might get cussed out. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about it in those terms as far as the community, what the community desires, and what the community establishes as the norms and the acceptable behavior in a community. And I think I'm gonna see Brother Barnes is still working with his thing. I think he might have stepped out on us. Let me see for a second here. Dillon? Maybe he might have a computer he can go to, maybe even a cell phone. I think it might be your iPad. Not playing nice. So anyway, we're kind of waiting for him to kind of get on here. I think you probably need to go to another device, Dillon, or restart that device and bring it up. So I was thinking, in my position, again, I have a duality of roles, but for me, I think it's extremely important for me to come over. As you know, I've coached over in St. Joe for many years. For me to come back over on our side, and especially with my son in the senior year, frees me up some time. And uh, Dillon,
Yes, I'm back.
no, we got you.
You got me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool. I had to I had to log in on my laptop, man. This phone is crazy. It keep getting calls interrupted. Okay, you hear me?
We can hear you. You're digital and you're freezing up a little bit, but uh, you must got AT&T
Okay,
DSL. They're terrible.
I do.
Mhm.
You, I really did.
But we can hear you now.
But could you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay.
So
So, are you ready for me to speak now?
yeah, go ahead. So coming back is Dillon Barnes with Jumpstart. We're talking about mentoring in our community, little young men as well as me talking about mentoring young ladies with I think godly and stable young men to give them a certain vein of stability. So then now we have you again. Thank you, Chapter Chief, listeners, watchers for us working through these technical difficulties. But here, Dillon Barnes. So go ahead, start back. Tell us about yourself, where you come from, how did you got to where you are today.
Okay. Name is Dylan Barnes, born and raised in Ben Harbor, Michigan. 1988 graduate of Ben Harbor High School. Um, I left high school, went to Grambling State University, obtained a bachelor's degree in accounting, and was fortunate enough to come back home and work for our great city of Ben Harbor as well. I wore many hats and worked in many departments, including the public safety department. I was a grant coordinator for the public safety department. I was over all of accounts payables and accounts receivable payroll for all three departments, police, fire, and inspections. I was the deputy finance director for the finance department. I worked in CDBG, community development department, all over the city government. Then I left there. My last position was grant coordinator. I left there and I became a politician. I was the first ward commissioner from 2000 to 2004. Um, again, that's just a little background of me. I wore many hats. A member of the Ben Harbor Alumni Chapter Kappa Alpha Psi, as our chief is as well. Just a little story about how I got where I'm at today as it relates to the youth of Ben Harbor and why I'm still in Ben Harbor. First of all, it's home, and home is always good. But what happened, as a kid, I always wanted to play youth football. So I would walk from over in the Highland Projects, Olden Street area to Discount Tire every day to practice. And my season always ended when it was time to pay the $50 registration fee. I'm 52 today, and back then it was still $50. We just made it to $85 after all them years. So registration fee. But again, my season ended. My mom, I was raised by a single mother. She raised 7 kids. It was 6 boys and 1 girl. So $50 was a lot out of our household. And of course, a single mother, father was absent. I had a host of uncles, and it's sad because I had cousins, first cousins that played and participated in youth football and youth sports. I think I played 1 year. I had an uncle to pay for me to play 1 year of youth basketball. That's when it was 4-H, and that was only 1 year, and then that ended. But again, when I came back to Ben Harbor and we've been this our 26th year of being over youth sports. When I came back to Ben Harbor after graduating from college, the program that I was brought up in was omitted. I mean, I was working for the city, then a city manager, Charles Roberts, came and convinced the city to eliminate its park and recreation department. At that time, I was a volunteer Rocket football coach, and um, I convinced a committee of coaches and parents to bring the Rocket Football League under JumpStart Incorporated. JumpStart was started. I was sent to a weed and seed conference by the public safety department and found out the ins and outs of nonprofit. So I started the nonprofit JumpStart Incorporated. And we started, I convinced the committee of coaches and parents to bring the youth football program under the Jumpstart umbrella. And that was in 1996. And this 26 years later, we still rolling. I also, when I got back from college, the youth basketball program that I was in was no longer. As a matter of fact, they eliminated that in 88 when I graduated. So it was missing for 5 years. So I started that back up in 96 as well. So again, that's my story as it relates to why I'm um, doing, involved with youth sports and mentoring, and it's because this is my ministry. This is what God got me to do, and it's like not if not Dillon Barnes, then who? And we got a host of other programs, Boys and Girls Club. Now we have New Harbor Impact, and we all got different missions. Mine is the introduction to football, introduction to youth basketball, and we also have cheerleaders, and we're working on youth basketball just for females, so we can have a feeder for our girls, Lady Tigers. So that's something we're excited about. And another thing, we're expanding into education because in the back in the day they paid you to play. So now we want to have a measuring stick to go along with our youth sports and mentoring programs. In that we can draw them with the sports, but we want to also require that they do this education component. So my wife is an educator, is a teacher. My daughter is a principal, both Ben Harbor area schools, and my wife is great about assessing students on where they are and then taking them to higher heights. So our goal is to mold student athletes, Chief, and Ben Harbor community. Not only, because hey, and just some of my success stories. Joy Bell, like I said, we've been doing it 26 years. He was a product of Ben Harbor Rocky football. Wilson Chandler is a product of JumpStart youth basketball. I remember Wilson Chandler when he was, they put him on my traveling team. And I was like, man, why this kid? I watched him in the gym, but he wasn't the best player. He was uncoordinated. We laugh about that today, like, man, I was horrible. But I took him to a aim high tournament, and that's what I can truly say he got the love of the game of basketball. And he put in the work, and the rest is history. He's a former NBA star, Joy Bell, NFL. All of them are products of Jumpstart Incorporated. And then there's some more Joy Bells and Wilson Chandlers out there. Hopefully Dan McGinnis' son, Chief, hey, cause that boy, he's an athlete. So we praying that he go high. We about achievement, you know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, and God gave me that. He said, hey, I ain't moving you. You're gonna be, and I like again, my background is accounting. And I'm a licensed contractor. But my mission in Ben Harbor is to provide structured and programs for our youth. And we've been doing a great job, 26 years, no blemishes, all good. I mean, a lot of kids come to me looking for them old tapes when Joy Bell and Wilson Chandler was in there. Like, hey, man, you got something to take? That's all they have to look forward to after the sixth grade. Because we go up to sixth grade with the youth sports, and that was their end of their career. Because then after that, it ain't about your $35 or Mr. Barnes waiving your fees. And I must say, over the years, I've never, if a kid show me they come to practice, that's in both basketball and football, and I put their uniform on them, and they couldn't afford it, they still participate. And so, because that was me, I always look at them like, God has blessed me tremendously, but because it was me who did that, I would never turn a kid away that commit themselves to coming to practice and being on the team. So a lot of our kids, I say 7% of them don't even pay. I mean, because it ain't about the money, it's about the experience.
Right.
And so that's my story. Again, our year from now.
Yeah. So before we move on with the conversation as far as the youth sports and mentorship and how we connected again this time around, and when you were talking about your background, first of all, I remember them old raggedy offices down in the basement of City Hall. Like I remember you, Featherstone, Marcus.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I was hired under City Manager Roberts back in the day. It was '99. But one of the things, Brother Barnes, when you're talking, reminds me of E.B. Du Bois, the Talented Tenth. And for those who might not be familiar, need a reminder what that is. E.B. Du Bois wrote a book about the Talented Tenth. What the Talented Tenth was, the book was about was people from a black community going off to colleges, getting educated, getting experience, and then bringing that experience back to the community to help shape the community and to build the community. Of course, back then, That's when you had the segregation, Jim Crow, all those things. So that was E.B. Du Bois writing about how black people go off, get education, come back, and help lift up others to do the same thing. So, I'm a sociologist, so I think about things in this nature. Um, and I think, and maybe you might agree or disagree, that I think that the concept of the talented tenth, a lot of people have left cities, a lot of people have left Benton Harbor and have not come back. They stayed gone, or they went to. We got people from Benton Harbor are all across the world. This place is has really
Yes.
turned out some stars. There's only a handful that actually have come back and done what you did. So Dylan, I don't know if you thought about it in those terms, but what made you go off again? You went 5 states away, got your education, could have went anywhere in the country, especially with an accounting degree, but you felt it important to come back
Yeah.
to serve and help your people. Tell me about that.
Actually, I went to college, and I had never left Ben Harbor. Other than the field trip with the school, never left the 4 mile radius of Ben Harbor. And so, of course, when I went off to college in Grambling, my mother sent me off with a luggage trunk and $35. And so I was like, "Hey, I vowed to never come back home." Like I'm gonna go and be an accountant and go to corporate America and do great things. And I was in but my first stop after graduating was Indianapolis, and so I was in Indianapolis looking for work with an accounting degree, and the city of Ben Harbor called on what four or five was Edward Woods, Marcus Watson, Larry Featherstone,
Mm-hmm.
myself. They was looking to uh, uplift young people, to train them in city government. And I never will forget Featherstone, like, "Hey man, they need to come. They trying to get you here. You either come now." They just the last time I said, "You know what? I'll give it a try." So I came and interviewed, got the job as an accountant, and the rest was history. I love football, so I instantly stopped volunteering in football. And it was when when the city decided to eliminate its recreation program, that's when I knew I was going to be here for the duration. I was going to retire here in Ben Harbor. And so, again, a lot of people do leave and don't come back. But my thing was, I wanted, when I came back, I had, my father was a mechanic, my uncles had a recycling company, a prominent one. And I was like, but it wasn't nothing I can come back to, because they just, I was accounting, I knew business, and they did business different. I was like, no. So my goal was, okay, since I know I'm gonna be here, God got me planted here. So now I'm going to build a legacy. And so, unbeknownst to me, I got 3 generations that have hands on in JumpStart. Myself, my wife, then my son, my daughter, and then I got grandkids that's participating in the program. And so, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm grounded. And we got, and like I tell people when they come back home, I'm like, "Hey man, I'm the band-aid that keeps this little town together. Me, Chief McGinnis, so y'all have something to come back to." You know, I had the privilege of working in the police department, the toughest job on this side of heaven, because we don't respect police until we the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I had that firsthand, like, okay, because I see some of the same people that we went to school with to give our officers the hardest time until they defeat. And so, but no, Ben Harbor is a great place. Ben Harbor been great to me. It's great to others. And I've made this my home, my platform to raise my family. Now my grandkids are being raised here. And I have nothing but positive for Ben Harbor.
So
It's home.
the,
And
Dylan,
I welcome anybody to come back.
so when you said, so you, I think there's something in people like you. I think people like us, that we see a need, and no matter what somebody might say, or no matter how this fabric of the situation may look, I think we get committed. We hunker down and we do that. And it sounds like So when you said that they got rid of the athletic department, and then at that point you knew you were staying, so basically eliminated your job. But what was it in you that said, you know what, I'm not gonna move on because I got a degree, I can go anywhere in the country. But although they eliminated the department in your position, that you said in your mind, I'm staying here because I need to do something to fill this gap. So, walk us through what your thought process was. Again, you could have went anywhere in the country, but you chose to stay here.
Yeah. My thought process with that, Chief, was, you know, we had a prominent recreation department. We had a strong public safety department, and it's still strong. We had a powerful city government, and we had a big, and we still Ben Harbor still majority youth, young people, and my mindset stayed here because I'm like, I can't afford to allow these kids to be, let down again. Because to eliminate your park and recreation department, that means you're not giving your kids nothing to do. And most people that migrate here, they first thing they say is, "What do you got for the youth? What are you doing for the youth?" Even in faith based, even in my church, Second Baptist, when new members come, professional people or all range, they're like, "What do you got for the youth?" And so, youth is that's our future. And so I'm like, hey, my daughter participated in JumpStart, my son participated in JumpStart. Now they are running it. They're the face of it. Pretty much, and along with me. And so, um, and that's what God gave me. I mean, I got to keep putting God in it because He's like, hey, this is your mission. I want you here. Your ministry is going to be youth. So the youth of Ben Harbor and then when you got success stories like Joy Bell and Wilson Chandler, that when you saw them just babies out here, but then they go to the professional level, and now they prominent businessmen as something to fall back on. And then me being here, I'll never forget. I also taught 7 years at the high school, teaching construction. I'm a licensed contractor, and that's what pays my bills. And I remember some of my students walking by my house like, "Mr. Barnes, because my house was nice. I lost my house in 2020 on Hastings to a house fire, but they're like, you really allow us to dream, because one day, one day I want to be like you. I want to have a nice house and a nice car." And so, and I was right down the street from the high school where my students walk by after school and see me there, like, wow. And there was a time in Ben Harbor when we did live in a city amongst our teachers, our police chiefs, our city managers, where community was everything. And so I chose to be that face to stay in there and, deal with the woes, and give our kids something to dream about and something to shoot for. And I let them tell them all the time, if I can do it, you can do it. I come from nothing, just like, y'all, we come from, but look at me, I'm a success story, a product of Ben Harbor that started from nothing and gained the work ethic to get me where I'm at today.
So, Dylan, that is so awesome. And every time you speak, you just kind of open up another layer. One of the things I think that, and you probably, and I think when I reflect on these things in my head, we don't necessarily think about them as what they really are, or we don't the things that we do, we don't appreciate it because we just do what we do. But again, getting back to that talented 10th, training others, getting to, like, when I got here, there was a handful of people that literally took me by the hand and taught me, poured into me. That was the time that was Chief Sam Harris, that was
Mm-hmm.
Miss Whitfield, that was Jack Campbell. Those people actually
Yes.
poured into me. Remember the old school Bachelor 14? That's old school, but
Yes, sir.
those people poured into our generation. And now me, as at that point in
Mm-hmm.
my career, my age, I'm reaching out to young entrepreneurs and young male and female subjects and pouring into them and help teach them the way. Because at some point they're going to replace us, and we'll move on and we'll go to retirement
Yes.
and they'll take over these positions. So I just heard you talk about training your son, training your daughter, Delandria. Of course, she's a principal. Um, Training other people here, again, not to go someplace else, but here to take over the mantle of leadership for our
Right.
youth. So I don't know, for basically, I'm patting you on the back because you are doing, I think, the way you're wired. You just are a servant. You mentioned God, and I try to. Sometimes there's a few people that say we get kind of churchy on here. It is what it is. I am who I am. God has blessed us. Same thing with you. So I can't make apologies for that.
Yes, sir.
But that is refreshing. So now Dylan, here's my question as far as in this vein, how do we get more of us to do that? To pour into some youth and then train them up so they can adequately replace us, and they'll do bigger and better things than we do. But if we don't reach back and try to grab them and train them up, the Bible says train up a child in where they should go, that when they are older they shall not turn from it. To do that successfully, that's what we're missing, I think, in this community.
Mhm.
That's a huge part. That is leading to the crime. That
It
is
is.
leading to the violence because the youth are disconnected from us that should be training them. Now, that might ruffle some feathers of some,
Yes.
but as a sociologist, again, it takes a village to train a child. It makes you feel good when you see kids,
Mhm.
5, 10 years later, that, hey, Coach Barnes, or hey, thank you. In a restaurant, at the mall, they see you, and it's just a great feeling. It's a great feeling. So, um, I
Yes.
appreciate you for that. And did you think about it in that manner that you were actually training the next generation to perpetuate what you have built?
Yes. I mean, I've been an educator since I touched back down after college.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I had to be trained as an accountant. I think I got a lot of sidebar training from the auditors. One of the things when I was in Indianapolis with an accounting degree looking for work, they were like, "Hey, man, you got a degree, but you don't have no experience." So when I got to Ben Harbor, I got a lot of experience from the auditors. I mean, they told me how to use a 10 key calculator. I mean, so I was trained to train others. And again, me and you talked about a week ago about we professionalism, meaning our youth deserve the best. You once trained my referees, got them certified. And one thing you said that always sticks out, and I tell them, I still stand by this, like, a licensed referee by their appearance. When they hit the field, if they licensed or not. Just look at their appearance. And so when you look good, you're gonna ref good. So you train that. We've been training since we touched Ben Harbor soil back, in our adult life. To back to your point, we got to train our young people, and it starts young. We need some high school age kids that's here looking for extra money. We got to lead by leadership. We both agree, and it's all not necessarily agree, but you just got to have experience. You know, um, Coaching. We need coaches. We need. I was training kids in construction, sending them to get trades. There's white collar work, but then there's blue collar work. My story. I have a degree in accounting. I ain't made over 48,000 with that accounting degree, but I can access of six figures with the construction. So where's the money? The money's in the trades. So for those kids who choose not to go to college, we need to start steering them towards the trade. I mean, it's money in trades. It's the dirty jobs that people don't want to do. And so training is me. I was cited as one of the top uh, construction teachers in the state of Michigan. You know what I'm saying? So to where the state of Michigan wanted to back me to start a training a construction program for 16 and older individuals. So that's exactly our future. Because we got a lot of kids looking for a way out, looking for an option. We still got a lot of youth here, and because we don't have those training mechanisms in place, that's where they resort to crime.
Yes.
And so again, anti-crime is where we at. That's why the collaboration with the public safety department, we got to give them something to do and some training mechanisms to get them to the next level, and make decent money. Because when you got money, you tend not to be mad. A lot of our people mad because they lack funds. They can't do. They want the glamour and glitz, but they ain't got the money to do it. So what? They look for a fast way, and the fast way ain't gonna do nothing but get you in bars, behind bars quick, and that's what we want to prevent. That's our purpose.
That's it. We got a real long comment. I'm not sure if this will fit on the screen. So here's a comment that says, hold on, that's the second part. All right, hold on, she writing the book here for us, but I want to see. So it says it's hard for other adults to keep viewing them as children when parents allow them to be adults. Some, and sadly majority of these children, will curse you and fight you quicker than adult. Unlike when we were children, you might have a few disrespectful children as opposed to now these children will get together and jump the adult, and then here comes the parents, uncles, and aunts ready to defend their children against an adult that was clearly defending themselves from the children. The mechanism to train these babies up in the correct manner has to start being implemented at least starting in the fourth grade, maybe the third. And there's more to this part. Is that? I think part 2 of this long. This is another person. And thank you for these comments. That's what we're about here. Ms. Stanford says, what's hard is when you are from another area and you didn't grow up here. You're not familiar with people, and you try to reach out, and people of the community look at you differently or treat you differently because they have cliques, and we have kids too, and they want to be included in things. It's not always the parents not wanting kids to be included in things. It would have been nice. So I think Brother Barnes, we're hitting on some nerves. I think these two comments, lengthy but are true, and it's absolutely sad. And that's kind of gets back to my point.
Yeah.
How again we can't legislate ourselves out of this with police, but as a people, what are we saying is acceptable? And you've been in a district, I've been in a district on the school board. We've been in the schools.
Yes.
We've seen parents who sanction bad behavior, and then you see where the kids get it from. Your daddy act darn fool. Again, something need to be said.
Mm-hmm.
So we have parents that go in there and justify poor behavior by them acting a fool themselves. So that's probably a whole nother show
Right.
series on how do we address that.
But if I can touch on that,
go ahead, sir.
Right. If I can touch on it real brief, and it's simple, because the same parents that existed there existed when I went to Ben Arbor School. But guess what? You couldn't come in that school and do what you can do today. See, and I've said this to the last 3 superintendents. I said we got to build a learning environment that's conducive to learning, meaning we got to have zero tolerance for bull. We can't, although they can clown at home with their kids and let their kids run over them, but when you came to Ben Arbor schools, when I was a student, it's certain stuff you just couldn't do, or you was out of there. You missed 10 days when I was in school, you was dropped. That means you just really ain't learned nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's a different day. And we just got to get back to the basics. Zero tolerance for men. Our learning environment has to be conducive to learning. That's both in the school district and in the community. You give respect, you're going to receive it from them. And our community yearns for discipline. We want structure. We got to raise our expectations, and for them to come up. Right now, we're cool with mediocrity. So guess what they do? They do the very minimum. You know what I'm saying? We stiffen these laws up and put that police presence. Guess what? Crime goes high. The random violence you can't stop. It's just gonna have people gonna get mad. They gonna fall out. But again, we gotta raise our standards. You give respect. I taught for 9 years in middle school, 7 years at the high school level. Never had a problem. Because guess what? I love them kids like they was mine.
Yep.
I didn't play with them, you know what I'm saying, like that. I didn't try to be their friends. I'm your teacher. Keep it in perspective. I call them ma'ams and sirs, you know, and I never, we worked hard, we studied hard, and we enjoyed ourselves. So, yeah, you got parents that gonna clown. Guess what? Your learning environment, be it at home, be it in your business, got to be conducive to what? Your business.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that may be, education, entrepreneurship, you got to demand respect. As soon as you let them all get away, they going to figure, hey, they just weak and we're going to do what we want to do. No,
And
not
it's
here.
out of control. Yep.
That's why your police force look different than it did back when I worked there. Because you don't, you hold your officers to a higher standard, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So
That's just what it is. We
speaking
got
of
to demand respect in order to get it.
speaking of Ms. Dacker's point, says we need to be starting in at least the third or fourth grade. So let's kind of jump into the JumpStart because we're running short on time.
Yes, sir.
We talk about all I would like to talk about. But you are starting with the third and fourth graders, rocket football, and I'm sure your basketball program.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is kind of the fundamental basis of the foundation of JumpStart. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. We agree with you, Ms. Decker. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So let's fast forward. So again, for me, for me to get involved again, not just as a director of public safety and make arrests, but as a citizen of the city of Benton Harbor, 554 Columbus. Again, I know what it's like them coming by your house, and all times of the day and night. That's just
Yeah.
that's just how it is. But the thing is that we've built relationships that people
Yes.
are comfortable to do that. So it took some time to get used to that. My wife accepted it. That's just what it is. But as far as Jumpstart, again, as I was personally taking inventory of what I can do personally as a person. This goes back about 3 shows. There was a gentleman that came on when we were talking. And he was like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And my question back to him was like, "What are you gonna do?" Here's the things that I'm doing, and I'm with the police department, but then also and as a pastor of a church, but also as a volunteer in the community. What can I do? And it's people might say, "Well, not everybody plays sports or coaching. That's easy." It's not easy. And I can't, that's what God gave me, for me to affect young men and women is in coaching. I still got a lot in me. I need to come over here where the need is great. And that's what really I've been playing in my mind. So I was meaning to call you. And then one morning, it was last week, Monday or so. I was on my way to the shower, get ready to work. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
let me hit Dillon right now. And I think my text says something like, Noob, is there anything that I could do to help you in rocket football? If it's holding chains, if it's donations for snacks, let me know. And then again, we can't take away who we are. God was at work, and from your end,
Yes.
got the text. What you say?
Right. I was like, hey, I had just went into a meeting, a Rocky football meeting, a Barron County Rocky football meeting that Sunday. And so I went in there with the notion they basically like, hey, we're not coming to Ben Harbor to play in Ben Harbor because it's not state. That's what I thought it was. And so when I got to the meeting, so I'm going to defend our community. Like, we're not in Babylon. It ain't like when we come out our front door, we dodging bullets, low crawling to our vehicles. That's not Ben Harbor. I mean, it's not like that. So, people got that picture that we're living in Babylon if you're in the 49022, and that's just not the case. So I went to defend our community. Like, this is not that. And so when I went there, they was like, no, it's not that about the violence that's going on in Ben Harbor. It's some of the things that happen on the football field. And they was talking about some of the referees' unprofessionalism. And then the first thing I said, okay, I can fix it. I need to call Chief Dan McGinnis because he in the past trained our referees and he had them on point. And so that was on a Sunday. And I was showing somebody text yesterday at 8 o'clock. It's Monday morning. Dan texted like, what can I do? I hold the chains, I'll buy snacks. I'm like, look at God. That wasn't number God. And so I immediately text him back like, hey, I could use your help. And he was like, okay. So we met out at Union Field next to Discount Tire at 10 o'clock the next morning. And the rest is history. It was like, man, I promise you, I thought I mentioned your name to my son after this meeting that we got to get back professional with our referees so that our kids, now we do have 2 home games, but we usually have, out of 8 games, we got 2. It used to be 4 and 4. But anyway, we'll take the 2, and then that'll give us a year to work on our professionalism. And so Dan came to the call of service. We met, and he was saying in reference to uh, um, some funds that he had available, and I'm like, hey, let's collaborate. JumpStart and the Benton Harbor Police Department PAL program, and that's where we at. And so yeah, Dan is doing a lot, have done a lot. And will always be branded in the JumpStart circuit as it relates to professionalism and keep getting our referees on point and along with a host of other things.
So let me ask you this real quickly, and this is actually important, but I want to spend a little bit on there. So throughout these 26 years, how have you funded all that you do, and where's the funding coming from? And then go ahead, bro.
The funding, I mean, what registration fee we get from parents that can afford it, that's always help. Because again, and I say parents that get their children to and from practice, that's a fee because it costs time is money. So those fees, but really I've been funded out of my pocket. God has blessed me enough in the field of construction to where wherever we fall short, I'll fund it. Our award ceremonies, insurances, because the fees I collect don't even pay for the insurances. Equipment, I mean, last year alone, I spent $3,700 on football jerseys. The year before that, I spent $2,200 on jerseys with their names on it because my son wanted to step out there. He wanted to be like the St. Joe's and Lake Shores, and I said, but no, they pay for that every year. We're not we don't have that kind of funding. We don't have a lot of 2-parent homes where parents can afford a jersey to keep every year. So we're going to recycle ours. So that year he got about a fourth of the parents to pay. Guess who had to pay the difference? Me. To get names on all their shirts to keep. Them jerseys were brand new. Because I couldn't do nothing with them because they had moved on. So the next year, which was last year, I bought all new football jerseys again out of my pocket. So that's how it's been funded, off my back, and my finance. Me and my wife, Angela Barnes.
So Dillon,
have been really the funding source for JumpStart.
So let me jump in here. So that's a lot. That's a lot for a person to bear. And when we spoke, for me, one, I try. There's some grant funding that we have access to that's for purposes like this. So I think that's why God had put us together. But then it occurred to me, especially when I talked to Pastor McAfee, who was also equally as I think ready to act. See, back in the day, and Miss Dacker has another comment. I'm gonna share here in a little bit. Back in the day, there wasn't no social services, there was no wealth. It was the church. The church had provided for its people, and I'm not even gonna ask you because I don't want to put them out there. Are there any churches that have come and said, "Hey, we know that you're doing a good work. Let us sow into this ministry. It's a corporation, but it's your ministry. What are we doing as a community to help support JumpStart for all the hundreds of kids that you have touched and influenced over these years?" And then when we were talking, and I'm trying to pack a lot in, Dillon, because we only got 10 minutes left. When we were talking, when Lil Dillon came up, we started the conversation of, there might be a situation this year where we can't take everyone. At that point, Dillon, my heart was broken because that cannot be. And I know we're the same. There is absolutely no way that we turn kids away because we don't have the money or we don't have enough equipment for the kids that want to play.
Yes.
And, even if I think Lil Dillon said it was maybe 30, you said it's about 10, even if it is 10, if it's 2, there should be no way that you in a financial situation that you have to turn somebody away because you have a lack of equipment. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? How can we help? We all, I think the partnership is obvious because we have the same goal. How can we help jumpstart again and moving forward? Because at some point you're gonna retire. If you're paying for all this off your own back, who's gonna do it when you go? As opposed to getting it's a going concern. Get some money for that. You gonna say something real quick?
Oh, I mean, you are correct. And I would, again, it's been 26 years. I wanted to be a lifelong thing. Like, again, my sons, but again, they're not going to be able to fund. So now I got to put the funding sources in place to, for the life of Jumpstart. So to your point, yeah, it's coming to an end. To where, yeah, we are needed. To answer your question, no, a church haven't came, even not even mine, to say, hey, we as a church going to come and rally behind you and your efforts as relates to the youth of Ben Harbor and sports and mentoring and crime prevention opportunities for our youth. So no.
So one of the things that I want to do, we talked about is helping this because you're talking about expanding. So I also have a heart for, I have a heart for the young ladies, and I think that they get overshadowed. Obviously, Benton Harbor community
Yeah.
is known throughout the entire state of Michigan, and probably even as far as Chicago as being a men's basketball mecca dynasty. As far as our girls,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have anything. And I'm gonna tell you, we got some athletic dogs walking around our hallways that did not have the opportunity to start basketball like they do in St. Joe and Lakeshore in the third grade. To Ms. Dacker's point, playing basketball for 2 or 3 years even before they get to the sixth grade. So I have a heart, and I think that traditionally thinking, we think young boys need male role models, young ladies need women role models, but I'm saying I believe that the young ladies need positive male role models as well, if not even more than the boys, so they can see a positive man and know how a woman or a young gal should be treated. So anyway, with that being said, there's some
Yes.
things I want to do to help, from my perspective, as far as helping to move some grant money towards your way. But even as a church, we're pledging right now to help you again when we get off the phone. We'll cash app you $1,000 to help you because again, then there's absolutely no way in the world no child is going to be left behind in Ben Harbor who wants to play football. And for me, that was a defining feature in my life because I played football. My mom made me play football. She was a single parent. I was a nerd. She made me play football. And then that was a
Mm-hmm.
life changer. Now, ultimately, I was all state and I got my to college via track. But had that not been in me, maybe now my
Mm-hmm.
son doesn't have the same desire to play football. All those things came out of positive organized sports. And I remember even my Rocket football coaches now to this day, and we respect them. So there you have something that I think as a community we need to fund and help as people. Again, we got a couple comments on here I'm trying to get through. So I'm trying to help get some grant money for Rocket football, Jumpstart actually, because you got other programs moving forward. We're working together on that. Again, our church
Yes.
is pledging. I know McAfee said they will. And we're trying to kind of take over the Minster Alliance and kind of get that back to a place of it a going concern. But real quick, Dillon, let me try to play these. Or not play them. Let's say how old I am. Again, this is Ms. Dacker. We have to figure out ways, available outlets for parents, mostly to unlearn their negative behavior and or habits and relearn. Everyone needs to be held accountable for their actions and or non-actions, be it parents, children, and or city officials. Agreed, absolutely. As Mr. Dillon stated, enforcement and accountability is key. There is a disconnect in many areas, in homes, in the community. Let's figure out the root of the problem and begin working to restore relationships. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ms. Connie Dacker. Again, I hope I'm not slowing your name because you're right. It's the community that has to have accountability. It can't be the police. It can't be legislation. It can't be the commission. It is the community that sets the standard for behavior in our community. And I think there was another one that made reference to. Here we go. This is she's on the roll. Why don't you guys ask for sponsorship funds from all the neighborhood stores and gas stations in the community? Why do they get to come into our community abundantly, making close to 500K each location? Actually, there's one store that makes 630,000 in liquor sales alone annually, and not be held responsible for giving back to our own children. So you must have been a fly on the wall, because when I met with my deacons yesterday, they said the exact same thing. So what this is saying to me is, not only are we're not trying to band-aid, Brother Barnes, this Rocket football season, but moving forward, a perpetuity in financial assistance, and not just finances. We need men out there to coach. We need people for train crews.
Yeah.
We need people to
There you
volunteer
go.
money for snacks.
Yeah.
We need people to work concession stands. It's more than the coaches that are there coaching the kids. There is a logistical system that needs to be in place to support. And we're going to be. We want to help you
Yes.
ask for those things. Letters going out. And you're right. They don't mind selling us a bunch of alcohol and gin. Give us some money to help raise our children right.
Right.
Let me see here. Another comment. Wonderful and informative session. Thank you. So I think that this is wonderful. Again, we're kind of running out of time. So you got football, you have basketball. And I think next year for us, we're going to put in our budget annually to assist you. Again, snacks. Unfortunately, Dillon, and really we can go
Yes.
for an hour. Unfortunately, I know this
Yeah.
for a fact. You know this for a fact. You got some kids who their only meal of the day is that they get at school. On weekends or after school, you got kids who might not eat until the next day. Again, that's heartbreaking. But in order to be able to successfully teach them, we got to make sure that they have the focus, which means they can't have empty stomachs. So in between practices, on game days, there should be a pre-game snack. There should be snacks at halftime, and then there should be a post-game meal. Now, I'm telling you right now, that's what we got to have, and that's what we're going to have. I don't know if you have that in place now, Dillon, or it's sporadic. But again, you mentioned Lakeshore to St. Joe. Yeah, they have football systems. We in Ben Harbor got to do the same thing. Like you said it, we have to want the best for our kids and show them this is how a program is ran. So they understand organization. They understand respect for authority. They understand that we are there for the best interest. So now 5-10 years down the road, we see them. Now they're in high school or maybe graduated. And they remember, hey, Coach McGinnis, Coach Barnes, thank you for that. So we are, Public Safety Department, the City of Ben Harbor, as well as my church, Greater Grace. We're pledging to help you to help solidify what you've already built and to make sure it has perpetuity moving forward. And I thank for the comments, because we need to be solicited in some of the people. Yeah, that might come from some drugstores, but you know what? At the end of the day, money's money. And that New Jersey on that kid's back that maybe could not have played don't care if it came from A&Ds or don't care if it came from Greater Grace. They just want to play.
Right.
So that's what's important to me.
Right.
I think that's how I get in and help communities. I'm gonna be by the practices and to send hi to the kids. But Dillon, and also, we have this that's gonna go on. If you have somebody out there in Facebook land, TV land, whatever we call it these days, and you want to reach out and help, maybe you want to give us some money for snacks, for games, or maybe provide a meal, after one of the games. It's a 6-game schedule, I believe. So
8.
I'm 8. Oh, it's 8 games now. Good. I'm sure I don't want to speak for you, but I think you take any help that you can get, and we need a lot. And I'm saying we are the community. JumpStart is part of the community. He needs help. You affect what? Almost 100 kids in football. How many do you affect in basketball?
Ooh, probably about 200 or more in basketball, because we have about 210 kids or more in basketball. That's just the participants. Now the fan base is even bigger. So, so that gym, again, we're a basketball community. So that basketball program is out of sight. It's huge. So
That's it. Fantastic. So, if somebody want to reach out and assist Dillon with JumpStart in any capacity, you got your contact information where they can reach you.
yes, well, I can always be emailed at jumpstart96@yahoo.com. And then, my direct number, 269-369-1787.
Okay. Let me see if I can type that real quick so people can have that. And as I'm doing this, brother, first of all, thank you for coming on. I thank you for your passion, your dedication to our community. Anything you want to, last words you want to leave us with?
I just thank you for having me on the show. Ben Harbor, I love my community. I love the youth of Ben Harbor, and that's our future. And let's give them the best future we can give them. And that's all I have to say.
All right, I'm gonna flash this on there. If you want to help, where'd it go? JumpStart again. This is Dillon Barnes. So we're asking for help. Again, it don't necessarily even have to be financial, and we need a whole bunch of things. Maybe we have
need coaches,
everything. Coordinators for all the things that we need in transportation, chain crew. So reach out if you're interested. Please spread the word. And let's be clear. JumpStart is a legal corporation. It's I'm not sure if you got a 501c3, but I know it's a corporation. So this
501c3, yes.
There we go.
Yeah,
This money does not go into Dillon
it's
Barnes'
right off
pocket. It does not become rims or a sound system. So you will be issued a statement. So I just want to be clear. But again, Brother Barnes, I thank you for that. I look forward to working with you. We got Jamboree coming up soon here. If we can maybe get the Rocket.
Yes, this Saturday at Lake. This Saturday, the 27th at Lakeshore.
This Saturday, 27th. Okay.
At the Lakeshore Rocket Football Company.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the Jamboree, that's kind of like the preseason scrimmage before they get into the season. So again, come out, support the Rocket football, of course, support the basketball program, and support us as we move forward to start and get the girls training basketball program off the ground. We're also seeing a proliferation of violence, even with our young ladies, either shooting at people or being shot at themselves.
Yes.
So again, Brother Barnes, I thank you for coming on. I know you were going to Minnesota. So you held up for them. We thank you for that. So thank you, Ben Harbor. Again, please kind of share this. But until next week, same bat time, same bat channel. You've been on here with Director Dan McGinnis, Ben Harbor Department of Public Safety. This is Chat with the Chief. And we've been here with Dillon Barnes, who's blessed us with what he is doing to better Benton Harbor and our youth. So we thank you for your efforts, and we look forward to working with you. And until then, hey, safe travels to Minnesota and back, and we'll see you later.